Social work table talks. I'm sure many of you guys heard of the individual in Florida, the mother in Florida, who decided to leave her kids in the car and to go shoplift. And the car was engulfed in flames, and Stand By Your Ers rescued the babies. Sounds like they made it out okay, but one of them suffered from severe burns. And this is why you guys see me and many other social workers throughout the country. We we really got into this field to, because we understand stuff. We've been through stuff, many of us. And some things is just absolutely foolish. You cannot teach a fool how to not be a fool unless that person opens up to want change. And to see these babies be left in the car alone. There's nothing that was in that store. It wasn't like this person was at the grocery store. And even if they was, we live in a country where food banks and food shelters is plentiful. I talk to my other friends that are international, and they tell me about the homeless crisis, the unhoused, if you will, and those individuals that flat out don't have no food. I know personally, social working in my industry, when I was down in the trenches, I didn't know poverty until I got into the line of work with people in my own community, literally working their butts to death, whether they working in the fields or whatever they were doing. I've seen poverty on a different level with my brown eyes. And it just really made me cry to know the amount of food that I personally throw away, or my kids or grandkids throw away, and you guys throw away, when you don't realize right in your community, a couple of roads away, a couple of doors down, that somebody is really starving like Marvin. Like literally, I'm not talking about like old flies on their face, you can see them. I'm just saying, like, this level of work that we do as social workers is not a joke. It's not like what you see on the infomercial. This young lady decided to go and shoplift and leave her babies in the car. The reason why this is triggering for me is I just went to a teriyaki place to grab a bite to eat. And as I was going in to pick up my order, I was called, my attention was called to a car that was running, because the engine, as it's running and the AC is going on, you hear a noise, right? And so I turned to the right, and what do you have? Look like a 10 or 11-year-old in the car by himself. Mother in the restaurant where I went to. And I'm just like a few days ago remembering what happened. And not only that, the things that I've seen down through the years. And sometimes you guys be like, well, social workers think they know everything. No, they don't. When people call you on your stuff, you get offended. When people call you on your stuff, I know my colleagues know what it's like to have to do a case report for a baby who died. We're not talking about what's on Lifetime, what's on First 48, what's on America Most Wanted. We're talking about real live tragedies. A lot of things can be preventable. There's not one single moment that you can justify leaving a child in a car, a child, and you sitting up here, well, I had the AC on, I was just going to run in there real quick. Listen, if you have to prematurely bury your baby, is that inconvenience worth it? Get them kids out the car seat. I don't care if it take you an extra hour or two. It's going to take you a lifetime for the rest of your life, if you make it out of prison alive, to live with the guilt of making a poor decision. And I don't care if I ruffle people's feathers. I'd rather ruffle your feathers on the outside than to have you on my caseload on the inside, drowning in grief and sorrow and shame and guilt about your decisions. And some of you guys didn't have the training. I know one lady was like, well, I was raised from the crack era, my mother this or that, but she told me, Miss Jones, I went and got me a mentor. I went to school and Miss So-and-so guided me and showed me the ropes. And that's resiliency. In the absence of what you don't have, it's not an excuse. You go out and you get it. There's people out there that'll mentor you. You can't sit up here and make excuse. Well, I didn't really have nothing to eat. So, I went and had to steal to do what I got to do. Even if you got to steal and you taking your minors, let me tell you, that's a child safety issue. So even if your intentions was good to provide for your family, because some of y'all get real picky about the homeless shelters and the meat packages and all of the food, because you want to say, well, I don't eat this and I don't eat that. Are you really hungry? Folks give you a link to go apply for a job or get a skilled trade or go back to school. And I understand when you have a right now need, going back to school to study in that moment is not a priority. You need to eat right now. But you got to learn how to chew gum, walk, and make healthy decisions all at the same time. In other words, go to the food bank, get what you got to get. Some of y'all too lazy to go cash in your WIC. That's free. They give you beans, peanut butter, avocados, all kind of goodies. And they even deliver the vouchers through the mailbox. Well, it's too hot for that. Listen, I done heard every excuse in the book. And so what I'm telling you is that this is a community issue. Because as those babies recover from that level of trauma, one of them in the hospital, the other one, God knows who had to step in. All right? Now they get out the hospital. And now they got to find out that they mama in jail. We losing all the way around. And somebody got to, take them in. Hopefully it's family. I don't know. Lord knows if it's the system, because the system wasn't designed to raise kids. So that's why you have the reckless outcomes that we have, because people stacking up babies for money. We know that. We also have family that know that people live in funky and foul and won't hold people in the family accountable until something like this pop off and you want to meet up over barbecue time. Well, I knew she was a bad parent. I knew sooner or later them kids was going to be whoop-de-whoop. I don't know if you understand, but you just reinforce what they were going through as a norm. So you need to be held accountable too. How can you sleep at night just worried about yours at your address, knowing somebody in your family is living funky and foul by these kids? And me being a black social worker down when I was working in there, that's the first thing they do. And I'm not coming at just black people. I'm coming at foolish behavior across all racial lines, all social classes, because it exists all across the board. We're not going to chop this up to one thing. But I'm coming at some of you guys that know that you can look in your family, your friends, your neighbors, somebody at work or whatever, and some things is popping off that's not in good company or favor of the child. I'd rather for you to have that conversation with your family so we don't have to intervene. Quit worried about hurting people's feelings, because it's going to be a hurtful feeling to understand these kids go through this stuff. And we're going to talk about that on the next live. We're going to talk about on a social work table talks. But we got to stop talking so much and start activating and doing some actions. And some of them, you're going to have to hurt people's feelings. I know some of y'all finna run a good one after you see this. I really don't care. I'd rather be known for my truth than the forged lie that's trapped up inside my body. And if you supporting people in their lifestyles or what they're doing, you're a part of the problem too. You can't get the goodies of people out here stealing and putting their kids in the car. And you trying to get a hot meal, a hot outfit and all that. Y'all, I am just so grieved by the ignorance and the recklessness that's going on that I'm going to continue to sow seed and bring it to a level that we can talk about it and then make some necessary changes. Because I don't know about you, it's not about us forcing our agenda. There's just some flat out deal breakers. You can live however you want to live. But when it comes down to babies in this country, minors, anybody under 18 classified as minors, and your behaviors is putting them in a reckless situation, that's where you invited the whole world up to get off in your business and hold you accountable. And I know you're going to roll your eyes and smack your lips. Great. And after you're done with that, you better pull it together. Because you thought life was difficult. It's going to go up 2 notches if you keep cutting up. Blame it on summer heat if you want to. These kids deserve a better example. Now, these babies got to go through life with all the injuries, all the PTSD, all the trauma. On top of that, they still love their mama. And they mama finna be behind bars. Y'all know people ain't loyal to their own kids. So whoever finna take care of them, let's just cover them in prayer, because most people don't tolerate other people's kids with an open heart. Hopefully they don't get moved around like dominoes. And when they go to school with some of y'all kids where you say your house is on point, everything good, you got the 401k popping, you got the matching car garage, the whole nine, because you live in a narrow bubble that you're not going to extend any type of help to anybody. These booger bears go to school with your booger bears, and so that's what makes it a community issue. And so that is my social work table talks for today. To the individual that went in and got her teriyaki, I just saw it's all about how you approach people, you know? Just approaching them with love and kindness and saying, hey, I know this, but just a heads up. You know, some people have attitudes, some people like, whatever. Don't matter. I released my truth. And I was an older kid, and y'all got to understand, some people out here doing their regular day-to-day duties. Whether you're a teacher, a teacher's aide, therapist, social worker, any type of service-based industry, we're mandated reporters, child care workers. And all of it, I can't speak for everybody, but the culture of our work is not set up to rip family apart. Some of you guys ripping your own family apart based on your poor decision. Then you want to turn around and blame it on somebody. If we were to walk past cars and kids is in the car during this heat, y'all got more animal rights activists that'll see a dog in the car in the summer that will report to the SPCA before they'll report about a baby. And so if we walk by it, we, again, like I said earlier, is reinforcing, which means all the credentials, all the things that people have invested in their education for to bring change will be yanked away or compromised in some kind of way, because we're held accountable to mandate, intervene, and have some interventions in place to keep kids safe. So we can't even walk away from a situation even if we wanted to. We have to be wise about how we handle it, because we're not out here trying to be, superwoman and judgmental and, stir up the pot, because that's not our intentions. The intention is always child-centered on the safety of that kid. And so if nothing else, slow down. Take the babies out the car. Don't assume that the 10-year-old can't take the car and put it in another gear. Don't assume that your car, no matter what year, y'all see me when I went through the flood in a newer car with my son, the electrical shortage, and we nearly drowned in town. That was a newer car. Electrical problems. These cars are man-made machines. And I know y'all love y'all kids. And nobody want to bury their kid based on a decision of trying to do something quick and don't want to be inconvenienced. Inconvenience yourself every time when it comes to the betterment of our kids. That's all I'm going to say. I'll see you guys soon.